Hey guys, we are live. I'm Jeff with eBay Addicts, and today I have a returning guest with me here today. I have that reseller guy is here. How you doing?
Pretty good, Jeff. Thanks for having me back on. I appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate you jumping on to hang out with me today. So real quickly, in case people don't know who you are, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and tell them what it is that you do.
All right. Well, I'm that reseller guy. I have a YouTube channel, but my main business is selling on eBay. Sell a little bit on Amazon, but we're here today. I guess we're talking about my antique booth a little bit more. I know we mentioned that last time when I was on. We didn't really cover it a whole lot, so have me back talk about that a little bit. I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona, or just outside Phoenix anyway. So yeah, I'm ready to get going.
Okay, cool. Mike, can you speak up a little bit? I'm having a hard time here. Do you could speak up a little bit louder?
All right. I got things on max. We'll try it here. Is that better?
Okay. All right, cool. So, Mike is a full-time reseller. Tell people a little bit about how you got started. Guys, we're mainly going to be talking about the antique booth today. So if you have questions about the antique booth or questions about reselling, you could drop it in the chat. So tell people kind of how you got started into your antique booth, how you got started into this business.
Yeah, well, I've been selling on eBay for quite a while. I brought up some numbers on my screen just so because I really didn't even know exactly how long I had been in my booth. It's been quite a while. But I started on eBay like back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And, been doing that part time now for the last probably 6, 7, 8, 10 years, doing it full time. My booth, this will be my sixth full year at my booth. I keep calling it my booth, but it's at an antique mall. I call it a collectibles booth because I sell more collectibles than I do antiques. Um, but yeah, like I said, I've been doing that for 6 years now.
Okay, awesome. Now, how did you get started there? Like when you got started with your booth, like there's different size booths. They have a little showcase booth. They have booths that are like unlocked, and then they have big, heavy booths like what you have.
Exactly. So yeah, there's basically three different options there. There's two different types of cases. One's like an open case. We'll just call it like a display case. Imagine like a locker, and people can go in there and actually touch your items, feel them, take them up to the counter. And then there's locked ones where you have to call an employee over and they need to bring a key to unlock the case for you, get the item out for you to see. So more items that are smaller that people could pocket easy, more expensive items that you don't want broken by people moving all over the place. And then like what I have, which is the large booth space. I think my space is 10 by 8 feet, I believe is what it is. So 10 feet wide, 8 feet deep. And then obviously you have different price ranges for those three different with I think right now the open cases are about $50 per month, and then the locked cases are about 90. Mine I'm paying $221 per month for my space.
Yeah, back in the day, a long time ago, I used to have one of those lock showcase booths that you're talking about,
Yeah.
and mine was $90 a month. And what I did, guys, is I would go to the pawn shop down the street and buy PS3 video games for $3 a piece, and then I would turn around and put them in my showcase booth, and then sell them for 10, 15, 20, $30 a piece
Yeah.
in my booth. But the issue was I was generating sales in the booth, but I just made just barely enough money in sales in the booth to pay the booth fee every month.
Yep.
And by the time I added up my time and gas to drive there and back once a week to restock the booth, I was like, is this really worth my time? I could sell these same items on eBay. So tell people a little bit about what your strategy is. How can somebody go from zero to $2,000 a month? I mean, if you guys do the math, that's like $500 a week. There are some people that work full-time jobs that don't even make $2,000 a month. So tell us a little bit about what your strategy is with your booth.
Yeah, it's definitely taken me a while to get there. Again, I'm going to kind of look over at my screen over here because 2016 was the first year that I started. It was like a half year, so I won't even look at that. But the first year, I did about 14,000, so just over $1,000 a month, and it's grown just a little bit each year as I've kind of learned what sells, what price points, and what really to not have in my booth. For a long time, I was filling it with a lot of stuff, but those items weren't selling. So I was taking up all this square footage in my booth, but not making any revenue out of that. So it was kind of learning what does and doesn't sell, what price points they have to put things at to get them to move. Because the term I like to use is like I'm not trying to set up a museum in my booth, where it seems like a lot of booths you go there every month, it's the exact same things because they're not selling them. So I want to put an item in there, and I want it to sell as fast as it can. So I'm finding that right price point to get it to sell. And for me, that's generally just below eBay prices. So if I have an item, let's say I want $20, or it goes for $20 on eBay, I'm probably going to put it for $15 in my booth. So everybody looks at comps now. Everybody gets out their phone, they see an item. How much can I get it for on Amazon? How much can I get it for on eBay? So yeah, I want to be able to beat those prices.
Yeah, well, the thing is that with your antique booth, is you're not paying eBay fees, and you don't have to worry about shipping costs. All you're doing is showing up to stock your booth. So tell people in your YouTube video, you talked about how your antique booth was like semi-passive income. So how many hours a month do you think that you spend at your antique booth, and how much money do you make on average? Like, what has it been recently, the past 2-3 months?
Okay, yeah. That's exactly the term, is that semi-passive income, because I probably spend about 3 trips out there per month. I try to get out there about every 7 to 10 days. Sometimes it turns into 2 weeks, which is a little bit too long. And then you just got to figure a little bit of processing time at home, an hour here, an hour there, between trips. So maybe 2 to 3 hours per week is what I'm putting into it. I'm already out at thrift stores searching for items that I sell on eBay. So it's really no extra time to pick them up for me to sell them in my booth. I lost my train of thought here.
Go ahead. We were talking about your antique booth. Go ahead.
Wow. So yeah, so like I said, I spend about 3 hours a week going out there. That's a couple hours of prep. The booth that I'm at is actually about a half hour from my house, so it's about an hour drive round trip. So we're factoring in an hour of that weekly time going out to the booth. But yeah, when I'm there, I'm probably there 15 minutes to half an hour, just straightening things up, loading in the fresh inventory. So yeah, the majority of my time spent there. They give you little price tags that you put on your items. You just have a little price tag that you fill out. That way you can put like your dealer number, so they know how to credit which items to. So you just fill one of those tags out for each of your items, and that's how they know it's yours.
Okay, cool. Now I have some notes here. So, what are the main items that you sell in your booth that are like your hottest selling items in your booth?
Yeah, with my booth, what I've done recently is I've kind of split it into like 2 halves. The left half is all sports collectibles, so I sell a lot of sports trading cards, a lot of boxes, card sets, figures, and anything kind of sports related. The other half is my pop culture side, so I sell comic books, I sell Funko Pop figures, Disney, Star Wars, anything like that I can find, and this is the thing that's been working for me really well, is to have these two sides both producing for me.
Okay, cool. And you said so you go by there like once a week or once every 2 weeks to restock your booth?
Yeah, I try to get out there every 7 to 10 days. That's my goal.
Okay, and so how much money can someone make when they first get started? Like, as you said, when you first got started with your booth, it wasn't like a money maker
No.
immediately. So you had to make some adjustments, because I think sometimes people get started and they don't see results immediately, and they're like, "Oh, this doesn't work," and they want to quit and give up.
Right.
So, what advice would you have for a newbie? And tell people your experience, what it was like for you when you first got started.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a get rich quick type scheme. Those first few months, I mean, I was like you're saying, you're first just trying to cover your rent, make sure you're selling enough to where you're not owing them money at the end of the month. I think I did pretty good overall. Like those first few months, I was probably getting $100, maybe $200 back per month for like that first 6 months or so as I was figuring it out. Then, like I said, as you're kind of building things up, knowing what you need to buy, what not to buy, it's definitely improving things. Yeah, like I said, right now I just went there on Sunday, so I went there yesterday and picked up my current statement, which is down here, and you can see I've got 1, 2, almost 3 full pages of sales, and so far this is just a week's worth of sales, and there's my total, right? Oh, I'm probably putting my fingers over it, about $900 and some dollars.
For 1 week?
$900.39 in just over the first week of this 2-week pay period. So I'm on pace to have what could be a record 2 weeks here, because I just stocked it up with a lot of good inventory too.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what fees are involved with your antique booth? Like, there are fees like you have to pay. Like you said, I think your booth's like $220 a month, but you also have fees you have to pay as well, right?
Sure. So yeah, what they do at this particular one is you're basically paying everything in 2-week periods. So even though my rent is $221 a month, that breaks down to whatever it is, $111 per every 2 weeks. On top of that, you have to pay 10% commission for each of your items. So if I sell, in this case, $900, they're going to take another $90 in fees. On top of that, they have a credit card processing fee, similar to like what eBay and PayPal used to give you, is whatever it is, 2.5–3% of a credit card processing fee. And there's a couple other small little things that they charge you for as well, which you might not think about. One of them is for dealer insurance. So if somebody hurts themselves either in my booth or on one of my items, their insurance policy covers me, so I'm not actually liable. And they charge a 50 cents per 2 weeks for security. So you can get little security tags if you have more expensive items or small items that you want to put a security tag on. So if it walks out the door, it has to go through that little security scanner. You're paying a small fee to have that service as well. So I think for this last couple weeks, I paid $111 in total fees, along with like that $111 in rent. So it usually works out for me about 25% rent fees per pay period.
Okay, now I know in your video you talked and said that for a lot of these antique booths or collectible booths, there's waiting lists. So if somebody's interested, they should go ahead and make the call and get on the waiting list as soon as possible, because it could be a month, 2–3 months or whatever before you get approved to get a booth, right?
Yeah, that's actually kind of why I went out to the booth that I did. Just kind of happened by chance. A friend of mine opened one up, and he was doing okay. And I said, hey, do they have any open booths? And he said, yeah, they got a couple. So I went out there. There is actually an antique mall like 2 miles from my house, but I think they have over a year wait list for a booth. I don't know about the cases, but it could be a similar wait as well. So yeah, if you have any interest in it, check the malls around you. Find out if there's a wait list and get on it now. Worst case is they call you in 6 months and they say, hey, we got a case for you, and you say, oh, I've changed my mind. They'll just cross your name off and go to the next one. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, definitely get on one of those lists.
Okay, now what would be their startup capital? How much money do you think you're going to need to get started when you get started with it? The reason why I like this antique booth idea is because, when I had an antique booth, mine was running 7 days a week. I didn't have to physically be there. I didn't have to pay the water. I didn't have to pay the lights. I didn't have to pay the employees. I didn't have to pay the overhead. I just had to pay my $90 for my showcase booth, and then that was it. And then come by and stock the shelves. But that was all that I had. So how much money do you think it cost to get started? And tell people what hours the booth was open for you. Are they open 7 days a week or just on the weekend?
Yeah, and actually, just like you said, that's the best part of the whole thing. We love eBay because it's open 24 hours a day. People can buy stuff at any time. But a lot of antique malls have some really closed off hours. The one that I went at, we're open 9 till 9, 7 days a week. So fantastic hours. It's always open. The one that's close to me, much more limited hours. I think they're only open till like 5, and then close certain holidays and stuff. But as far as startup costs, you'll need a couple little things. So obviously, let's say you already have a little bit of inventory around, you want to take it into. If you're going into a case, you don't need much, because I don't think they ask for anything up front, or at least not where I'm at. So you can just put your items in the cases. They'll already have shelves available in there for you. But if you're going to have an actual booth, you're going to need stuff to display the items, whether it be shelving units, a bookcase, some way of actually putting the items in there so you can stack it up and not just throw it all on the floor in there. Some booths have pegboard, so they may already have some pegboard in there, but if you have small things you want to hang up, you'll have to provide your own pegboard and pegs and all that type of stuff.
Okay, now what would be your top 3 tips or piece of advice to help somebody get started with their antique booth? If they don't have no experience, I like your antique booth, like I said, because it's open 7 days a week. You don't have to pay the water bill or the light bill. You don't have to pay overhead like if you're going to start your own brick and mortar store, and you don't have to deal with rude customers. So if somebody has an attitude and they want a refund, you don't have to see them or talk to the customers. They go ahead and handle all that for you, right?
Yeah, that's another great thing. They collect the taxes. They deal with all of that. As far as I know, they usually have like a no return policy. It's like final sales. I think over 6 years, I had one item returned because what was in the box actually wasn't what it was supposed to be. Just however that happened. But having them handle all the transactions, like I say, no shipping, no taking pictures, no no, storage of your items here. I mean, that's definitely the best part.
Yeah, so guys, so if you're a reseller and you have a death pile of merchandise sitting in your closet or your attic somewhere, and you haven't got around to listing it yet, you don't have to worry about taking photos. You don't have to worry about eBay fees. You don't have to worry about shipping. You can just put it in your booth, put a price tag on it, and you're good to go. You have to like write down your antique number booth on the ticket so they know what booth it came from, right?
Right. You put up your booth number, your dealer number, and like a little description so they know who to credit the item to.
Okay, now so what would be like your top? What's your top advice to somebody to help them with their antique booth business?
Yeah, first off is don't expect to go in and just have blazing sales right at the start. Like I said, every mall is different. I watch some other booth videos as well. There's one particular that I watch. He's in Austin. What he sells in his booth would probably never sell here in the Phoenix area because every market's going to be a little bit different. What age demographics go there? Whether you have a lot of seniors versus having a lot of youth and kids go there, and that's kind of the market I go for is like that pop culture, kids going with their parents to the mall and parents want to keep them happy, buy them a $5 or $10 item from my booth. So yeah, don't have crazy expectations. It's going to kind of take you a little while to get used to what does, what doesn't sell. And just because you like an item doesn't necessarily mean that everybody else is going to like that item and it's going to sell. Uh, the other thing is not just items like sports and pop culture items sell. There's a lot of people that obviously it's called an antique mall for a reason. There's all kinds of things in there, and everybody has a different level of success. Everybody has a different level of what they're trying to gain out of it. I know there's people that do it just for like a hobby. They're retired. They want to make an extra 100 or $200 a month. So their hobby is crocheting things, and they put that in their booth and sell it and make a little bit of money, and that's what they do it for. For me, I actually want an income, so I have a different outlook than them. Real quick, how
Right.
is the sound? I saw a comment down here that I was breaking up. Is anybody having problems or?
Yeah, well, like I said, I can hear you a little bit, guys in the chat. Let me know if you're having any problem with the volume today. We're trying to do the best we can. I'm going to say hello to Harry Humstone is here in the chat. Lilo not found is here, and I wanted to say hello to Nina J. If you guys have questions for our guests, you could drop it in the chat. But yeah, when you first get started in your booth, like don't get discouraged if it doesn't like take off right away, and you're not making $1,000, $2,000 a month. Like I think when you're first getting started, you just want to kind of break even and kind of look and see what items are selling and what items are not selling, right?
Exactly. I mean, you're just hoping that you have some of the right stuff that will sell. Because, like I said earlier, I mean, there's times I like taking a walk around, see what other people are selling, what type of booths are out there. And there's some that I go by, and I swear it hasn't changed month after month. And I'm just wondering, like, are they actually selling something? And if it's month after month and you're not making your rent, maybe the full booth isn't for you. Maybe you should try a smaller, one of the showcases where you don't have as much financial risk in it. An open case for $50 doesn't take a whole lot, of sales to get that $50 back. And that may be the way to start. To start with a little case. If that's going good, then you've kind of learned what's selling, and maybe move up to that small booth, because there are many different sizes of booths. They have whole rooms you can rent out that are like 20 feet long by 10 feet wide that probably they charge $500 a month for. So as you're growing, I mean, you can kind of keep moving up spaces as you're learning what's working for you.
Yeah, I would just make sure there's enough foot traffic there because there's some like little peddlers mall and antique booths that when you go in there on a Friday or Saturday, it's like packed, and there's other places and it's just completely dead. So you have to have enough foot traffic there as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you have multiple antique booths, or down south they call them flea markets. These indoor, basically like an indoor swap meet. Antique mall, I've seen them call them flea markets. So if you're from the south and you're watching this is what we're talking about as well. But yeah, foot traffic is huge. Again, there's another mall that's about 5 miles away from me, and if I go there and there on a weekday, there's literally nobody in there. If I go to where I'm at during a weekday, it could be a Tuesday at 10 a.m. and there's 20, 30, 40 people walking around the place. So it has great foot traffic. And along with that is, because I don't know if I get to say this, if someone doesn't really, they want to get into doing antique booths, but they don't know exactly what to sell, or maybe they have a few different options, talk to the staff, talk to the people up front. Where I'm at in particular, almost everybody that works there has a booth. So they kind of know the items that have been selling. Ask the cashiers what they see coming up all the time. Is it newer stuff? Is it sports related? Is it Pyrex? There's a lot of Pyrex sell at this one. Do figurines sell? So definitely ask the staff and the workers around there what is good sellers at that particular mall.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine that used to have an antique booth, and he would get like these like little phone charger cords, and he would buy them like from Alibaba or something, and get 100 or 1,000 of them at one time, and then he would set them up at his booth and sell them. You know, he'd get them for 50 cents, $1 a piece or whatever, and then sell them for $8, $9, $10, $12 or whatever at his booth,
Right.
depending on if they went to Samsung or Apple or whatever. So there's a large variety of items that you guys can sell. When I was in Kentucky, it was a place called Peddler's Mall where you could have like a little booth and stuff set up. So
Mm-hmm.
so what would be like your like final thoughts or words of wisdom to help somebody out when they're getting started with their antique booth? Should they just not give up, try it out for 3 to 6 months and see how it goes, or what?
Yeah, the main thing that I sell in there is lower dollar items. I think my average sale is like $6. Part of it is because I sell a lot of sports cards that are like $1 and $2 each, so that kind of brings the numbers down. I don't sell really expensive items, and I sell things that I think are fun. I want people to look in my booth, and I want everybody that walks by it to look and stop because they see something that whether it brings a memory, a toy that they had when they were a kid, or maybe it's a Barbie or a figurine of Thor, whatever it is. I want them to stop and look and go, oh, check that out. Because again, if you've been in any of these malls, you can walk down the aisle and you might just walk past and look at aisle, and just never stop in a booth. I want everybody to stop at my booth.
Yeah, I saw your booth. You saw a lot of sports cards. You saw a lot of like uh, what are the Funko Pops? You saw a lot of collectible items and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, like I said, I try to sell stuff that's fun. That adults like me, I'm over 50 years old and I collect stuff. You see, I got back here. We got a group back here watching me. I just bought that one the other day. But yeah, I try to sell fun stuff. I have fun with it. And a lot of it is items that I don't really want to list on eBay because they're lower dollars. Selling stuff that's $5 and $10 that you have to take a lot of pictures of. You have to ship out a little bit more work than just putting a price tag on it and throwing it on the shelf. So I like that part too.
Okay, cool. Tell everybody where they can find you and check you out at on YouTube and Instagram so they go by and follow you.
Yeah, both places. That Reseller Guy on YouTube, that Reseller Guy on Instagram. If you want to check out my eBay store, it's that Reseller Guy. So I've been using that Reseller Guy all over the place. If you're in Arizona, if anybody's watching this and you want to go check it out, I'm at the Brass Armadillo way out on the west side of town, out in Avondale.
Yep. So I have all the links down below. You guys go and follow our guest on YouTube and Instagram. He has other videos on his channel showing you more in depth about how he runs his antique booth, and he also sells on eBay and Amazon. So go ahead and follow our guest. All the links are going to be down below. I just wanted to say hello to Harry Briggs is in the chat. Nina J is here. Lilo Not Found is here in the chat, and I wanted to say hey to Harry Humstone. I'm sorry, guys. They said that there was an echo in the chat, so I apologize for the volume. We'll try to do better next time. But
Yeah,
go ahead and follow our guest.
happening this time.
That Reseller Guy. Go ahead and follow our guest. All the links are going to be down below, and I'll have some more videos out for you guys later this week. You guys have a great day, and if you guys are interested in getting started in an antique booth, go ahead and make the call and get signed up. At least get on the waiting list and check it out and see if it's for you. You know, there's not a lot of businesses where you can get started for a very little amount. You know, you only need a couple $100 to get started, as opposed to buying like a big vending machine or a brick and mortar store. You can have a little booth set up and have that booth running 7 days a week and make some extra side money. He showed you his check stub where he made $900 this past week, and that was in 1 week. And he wasn't even there at the booth for the week. He was out running around living his life. You know, he came by to stock the booth up. He was in and out in 10 minutes. So anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. You guys have a great day. I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.
All right, thanks, Jeff.